Hello everyone. I came a little early today. Yesterday was Karnataka Assistant Professor exam and we are going to discuss the questions today. Can you see properly? I will keep the questions here in the top, okay? Can you read properly? Good evening. I think we'll wait for a few minutes for everybody to join us. Couple of minutes. So, this was a very good exam. There are so many questions that will help you in net and set also. So, shall we discuss now? Listen to me, guys. The first question is, which novel of Jane Austen is analyzed as a pre-imperialist novel by Edward Said? Edward Said discusses which novel in Culture and Imperialism as a pre-imperialist novel which shows imperialist elements like slavery. It is Mansfield Park. Jane Austen's Mansfield Park, as all of you might know, was discussed by Edward Said in Culture and Imperialism, because in Mansfield Park, Uncle Bertram owns plantations in Antigua. Okay, Mansfield Park. I don't know how to mark here. So, please write down the answers, okay? Write down the answers. Now, which is not true of Heathcliff? Can you see the question, guys? Which is not true of Heathcliff in Wuthering Heights? He consciously rebels against social hierarchy. Correct. Heathcliff is consciously rebelling against social hierarchy. He is like an outcast, he is lower class, he is rebelling, he is taking revenge, correct. His personal humiliations make him a rebel, correct. Hindley is oppressing him, personally humiliating him, correct. He takes his revenge by using the tools of upper class, namely marriage and property. Marriage and property are upper class social factors that he is wielding. He is marrying Isabella, he is getting hold of everybody's property. He is merely demoniac in nature is wrong. That is the answer. That is not true of Heathcliff. He is not merely demoniac in nature. Definitely it is D. Answer is D. He is merely demoniac in nature is not true of Heathcliff. Answer is D. Okay? Okay. I want to unlearn all these muting things. This is a line from Gabriel O'Hara's poem, Once Upon a Time. Those who have not read it will not be able to answer probably. Listen, but I will tell you how common sense can help us answer. I want to unlearn all these muting things. Gabriel O'Hara's speaker is talking about his own child and talking about how he will unlearn his adult experiences and learn from the child. Okay? Is it true? He has learned things which the adult has learned things which are unnatural. Maybe true. Maybe true. Things learned are muting things. You don't understand what that means. Keep it aside. No problem. Learning itself is an unnatural process. That he won't say. If he wants to say that, he must be a savage. Learning itself is unnatural is utterly nonsense. That is not true. Because he has resolved to leave the civilized world. He has resolved to leave the civilized world. I don't think that is true either. In that poem, that is not true. So, even though we don't understand what is 2, it has to be 1 and 2 because that is the only option. 3 is definitely wrong. 1 and 2 is the only option. So, I think 1 and 2 is the answer. Demoniac means like demon. That is what I'm saying, guys. You have to know English language properly. You have to know the words and English language properly. Otherwise, you can't pass any exam. English literature, even though you don't know that much, if you have English language, you will be able to, and common sense, you will be able to answer a lot of questions. So keep on studying with me. Please don't go and attend Hindi language wala classes because in exam you will really suffer. You have to get exposed to English language as much as you can. Work out such questions as much as you can. So I think the answer is 1 and 2 here. Now, the object of Karl Marx's critique in Das Kapital is dash. That is very easy because political economy is there in the title itself. Das Kapital. Is he attacking capitalism? It looks like, but that is not true. Capitalism is a plain thing. Political economy is a very serious philosophical idea. That is the answer. That is in the subtitle itself. Did you understand? The object of Karl Marx's critique in Das Kapital is political economy. And this answer is there given in another question. In another question, match the following political economy comes. So, it is sure that is the answer. Now, T.S. Eliot's poem, The Journey of the Magi. Listen carefully. The kings, 3 kings are going to meet the Christ, infant Jesus. And their lives are never the same again. When they come back to their country, they are not able to adjust with their former life. Okay? So, that is the theme of Journey of the Magi. It ends with a positive note. No, clutching their alien gods. They are feeling alienated. That is the last line. That is the ending. Ends with a hopeful intimation of a birth. Positive and this, both are hopeful. Ends with disillusionment. Total disillusionment won't be there after seeing Jesus Christ. After you meet Jesus Christ, will there be total disillusionment? No, no, no. Ends in uncertainty about a powerful experience. I think that is the answer. Ends in uncertainty about a powerful experience. Yes, I will do Northeast SLET also. I had a Karnataka assistant professor batch. Full-time batch was there in TESS. So that is why I gave priority to this. I will do Northeast SLET also. Definitely. No, at the end, it is not hopeful. They are talking about their own country. At the end of Journey of the Magi, they are talking about not being able to, belong to their own people. That is what they are talking about. See, this theory questions and all are actually English language questions. They are very easy actually. If you know basics, you will be able to get like a Das Kapital question. At least title you should know, right? Title, if you know it is political economy. What techniques from Greek theatre has T.S. Eliot used? This is also very easy because definitely furies are there in Family Reunion. In Murder in the Cathedral, chorus is there. 1 and 2 definitely there. Even if you don't know anything about 3 and 4, 1 and 2 definitely there. So, A is the answer. Murder in the Cathedral has chorus, very famous. Family Reunion has furies, very famous. Okay, all questions I saw, all are easy. It needs common sense in the exam hall. You should have common sense, you should have presence of mind. You should know English language. Now, I will tell you why. I will explain every question. Which play by Eliot involves a reported brutal crucifixion of the leading character? You should know a little bit of the story. As soon as I saw this question, I knew it is Cocktail Party, The Mistress. Edward Chamberlain and his wife Lavinia are the main characters. Of course, T.S. Eliot is so famous. You should know his works. I taught also in the class. Edward and Lavinia Chamberlain are the characters. His mistress, Celia, I didn't remember the name, but then I Google searched. Cocktail party. I have told my students 1,000 times to read extra for net, set, slet, KEA exam, everything. Read a little bit extra, then all this will automatically come to you. At least from now on, do some research and reading. Now, which play has been described as a tragedy without villains? Definitely not Arms and the Man, because Sergius Saranov and Major Petkov are villains. Caesar and Cleopatra, Mrs. Warren's profession, Saint John. I did not know this answer. It is Saint John because it is there in the internet. But definitely Arms and the Man is wrong. Caesar and Cleopatra, there are no villains. I didn't think it is. I was only confused with whether it is A or B. A or B, I thought, and it is B, Saint John. Okay. The prologue to The Way of the World is very small and easy question. It is very famous also. Way of the World is a very famous play. Several times they have asked in exams. He's making justification for why he is writing like this. He's talking about his own writing the play. It is a meta-theatrical prologue spoken by Fainall. So offers a defense of the playwright is the answer. You should read detailed summary I have told you. Way of the World is a very famous play. In net and set also they can ask. The playwright is talking about why he is writing the play like that. And it is through the actor Fainall. Fainall is not saying, the actor who is doing Fainall is speaking the prologue. 10th question is easy. Long discursive passages in War and Peace. War and Peace is a novel based on Napoleonic Wars. It is full of war. Napoleonic Wars is the setting. War and Peace has philosophical essays in between. And it must be about military and war. Definitely not sexual morality. Absolutely wrong. Decline of religion. Absolutely wrong. Poverty, war. Definitely it must be military and war because it's full of war. If you only have to know what the novel is like. The novel is throughout full of war. It must be military and war. So it is actually common sense. If you know anything about War and Peace, you can't go wrong in this. Because in most of the questions, options are utterly absurd. Options are absurd. Now, who is the author of the short story, The Coffee House in Surat? I did not know the answer, but I knew Rudyard Kipling, Hermann Hesse and Raja Rao are not prescribed. Only Leo Tolstoy is prescribed. Use your common sense. Only Leo Tolstoy is prescribed. Why would they ask about Kipling, Hesse or Rao? You will get grace marks now. So I thought it is Tolstoy. It is Tolstoy. It is Tolstoy. Coffee House in Surat is Tolstoy. Why would you say Kipling, Hesse or Rao? See, they are giving giveaway questions. These are all very easy actually. In which novel does the circumlocution office figure? I have taught this in Charles Dickens. It is very famous. Circumlocution office is the British Treasury. Nothing gets done there. It is Bleak House. I usually teach this. It is there in encyclopedia also, I think. Circumlocution office is the Treasury. Bleak House. It's very famous. 13 is very, very easy. Joe Gargery, Great Expectations. Fag in Oliver Twist. Little Nell, Old Curiosity Shop. Sydney Carton, Tale of Two Cities. That is one of the easy questions. Option is B. Option is B. B for boy. Joe Gargery, Great Expectations. Fag in Oliver Twist. Little Nell, Old Curiosity Shop. Sydney Carton, Tale of Two Cities. Guys, when you write an exam, all you need is a clear state of mind in the exam hall. Okay. Which novel was described by the author as a comic epic in prose? Famous. Joseph Andrews. Joseph Andrews is described as comic epic in prose. Also, Tom Jones also, but he didn't say that. He said Joseph Andrews. Very easy. Then, Pope's Rape of the Lock uses the following techniques. Just listen very carefully. Probably this must be how it is. Domestication of epic conventions. I think it is right. Means epic conventions of Greece and Rome are taken and made English. Domestication of epic conventions must be right. using hyperbole, exaggeration, that is also there. Comic exaggeration and serious style together, that is also there. A serious style, simplicity of diction is not there. Simplicity of diction is not there. A serious style of epic, I have a little confusion there. Is it 1 and 2 or 1, 2 and 3? I have a little confusion there. But I think you can say 1, 2 and 3. Because epic is serious, na? Comic exaggeration and serious style. Maybe it is 1 and 2 also. Okay, 1 and 2 or 1, 2 and 3. I would say 1, 2 and 3. Now, which of the following is not one of the features of linguistic analysis? When you analyze language, definitely you look at phonology. Definitely you look at morphology and syntax. Rhetorical is not there. This is a BA level question. Linguistic analysis is phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics. Hai na? Rhetoric is not there. Okay. Mahesh Kumar, you have been sent the invite from our colleague. You did not accept it. What is this, Mahesh Kumar? We send within 1 year. Please WhatsApp me again. You don't check your messages. What can I do for that? You have to check out your messages. My colleague has already sent it to me. He showed it to me. My number is given there. You contact me in that number. And next question. I know we have sent you the invite. You don't check your messages. You don't, respond to it. What can we do? Now, which of the following works is not discussed in Gayatri Spivak's I have taught this in Criticism and Theory course 1 week ago. 3 women's texts and a critique of imperialism. Of course, it is Emma. 3 women's texts is about Jane Eyre, White Sargasso and Frankenstein. I have taught this in Criticism and Theory course. Then, who is the author of Joseph Conrad and the fiction of autobiography? Fiction of autobiography, Chinua Achebe will not write. It is Edward Said. It is Edward Said who wrote Joseph Conrad and the fiction of autobiography. Okay, then a classical Marxist critic would read Shakespeare's plays as, relax and listen, this is easy one. A classical Marxist is a traditional Marxist. Okay, a traditional Marxist critic would read Shakespeare's plays. What does he look for in Shakespeare's plays? A classical Marxist giving voice to working class people, wrong. Whether Shakespeare's plays give voice, that is not the Marxist analysis. If you know anything about Marxist analysis, it's easy to know. That is wrong. Working class people giving voice, no. Records of class conflict, a conflict between base and superstructure, expressing the ideas and values of the ruling group of his times. Records of class conflict, a conflict between base and superstructure. It is a little confusing because in classical Marxism, it is economics versus base. But because it is Shakespeare's plays, it's a little confusing. Records of class conflict, a conflict between base and superstructure, expressing the ideas and values of the ruling group of his times. I think it is D, but I may be wrong, even though classical Marxism is easy. It is about economics. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe it is not D. I had the feeling that it is base and superstructure, but it doesn't connect with Shakespeare's plays. Maybe it is B or D, I thought. Maybe it is B or D, I thought. Class conflict can also, it can also be class conflict. Then, which of the following is a poem by Nissim Ezekiel? Very, very easy. Goodbye Party for Miss Pushpa T.S. Nissim Ezekiel's Goodbye Party for Miss Pushpa T.S. is very easy. That is in Indian English. Now, next question. Thank God that it is a little light color. The introduction of English as a medium of instruction during colonial period was the result of dash. The introduction of English as a medium of instruction. Only the pressure by the missionaries, the despotic imposition of colonial regime. Only missionaries were there to introduce English. Colonial regime was forcing us to learn English. That is the meaning of the second. The collaboration between colonial regime and Anglicists and missionaries. I think that is the answer. The collaboration between colonial regime, Anglicists and missionaries. That is why English was introduced. Colonial regime means Macaulay. Anglicists were there who wanted English like, again Macaulay. Then missionaries were there like Charles Grant. Which of the following descriptions of Robinson Crusoe are acceptable? Which of the following descriptions by Robinson Crusoe are acceptable? Robinson Crusoe is a bourgeois individual. He is a ruthless colonizer. A self-made Protestant individual. Definitely a self-made Protestant individual is correct, I think. I think that 3, self-made Protestant individual is correct. A ruthless colonizer is not correct. He is not a ruthless colonizer. I would say 1 and 3 are correct. An opinionated man of religion. I think bourgeois individual, he is middle class. Correct. Self-made Protestant individual also I think is correct. He is acting like a colonizer, but a ruthless colonizer is wrong. He is benevolent. So it must be 1 and 3, I think. 1 and 3. All poems are by Ezekiel, but all are not in Indian English, Muhammad Adil. They have asked specifically about Indian English. Only Goodbye Party for Miss Pushpa TS is Indian English. In the well-known poem, Midterm Break. In the well-known poem, Midterm Break by Seamus Heaney. Seamus Heaney wrote Midterm Break. Ezekiel का कौन सा poem है Ezekiel का? That was not the question. The question was which of these is in Indian English? You have to read the question properly, है ना? Now, in the well-known poem Midterm Break, what is he talking about? He's talking about his brother Christopher who died. His brother Christopher, 4-year-old brother died. Did you understand? What is it about? The irony of a break or holiday that brings no joy. That is correct. The child is dying. At that time, there is no joy. A disruption of the family. A break in the young life of the child. I think 1 and 3 are correct. But then 1, 2 and 3 is the only option. So I think that may be the answer. End of the education for the speaker. I may be wrong. I don't know what KEA thinks. I am saying with my rationale. Midterm break is at the time when there is a break and child dies. So a break in the young life of the child, 3 is correct. I think 1 is also correct. But there is no 1 and 3. So I think it must be 1, 2 and 3. This is how I thought. Check again this one. Because I did not read Midterm Break recently. It is from a past. I think the 1 and 3 are correct. So that is how I have marked. In the poem Daddy, Sylvia Plath refers to a train which might take her to any of these cities. They are associated with dash. Concentration camps. Auschwitz, Dachau. She says concentration camps. It is A, concentration camps. What is the main focus of Virginia Woolf's feminist concern? Women's intellectual achievements, of course. Whether women will be equal to Shakespeare. Whether women will be able to be writers. It is B, that is the answer. Women's material disadvantages is not her main concern. White women's superiority is wrong. Women's body and language is wrong. It is women's intellectual achievements. Which of the following critics advocated that criticism should emulate the precision of science? It is famously I.A. Richards. Criticism should emulate the precision of science is famously I.A. Richards. What does Victor Shklovsky mean when he says art is a way of experiencing the artfulness of the object? The object is not important. Victor Shklovsky famously says to make the stone stony. Art is a way of experiencing the artificiality of the object. Artfulness means artificiality. It is not like real. It is artificial. The object is not important. What is important is our feeling. What is important is our experience. And it makes the stone stony. Sorry guys. It makes the stone stony. Okay, I think that is the answer. That is because a famous expression from Victor Shklovsky. Art makes us feel things. It makes the stone stony. That refers to our feeling of stone. Art gives us only experience is wrong. Art gives us only experience is wrong. Art gives us experience through imagination. That is not what Victor Shklovsky said. Art is for the sake of experience. No, A, B, C, D are, I think, nonsense. Only A is there. Now, both Dryden and Johnson criticize metaphysical poets on one characteristic of poetry. Johnson criticized metaphysical poets, everybody knows, for using metaphysical conceits, for unconventional versification. Henna, Johnson criticized metaphysical poets because their use of conceit, their use of techniques are unconventional. And I don't know why Dryden criticized them. So I think it is C. Or only on one characteristic, I think it is their unconventional versification, because for Johnson it is correct. I don't know why Dryden said. So I think it is their unconventional versification. Maybe I might be wrong. Which of the following is true of Foucault's understanding of sexuality in Western culture? I think it is definitely C. In pre-Christian West, like Greece, sex was perceived as an obstacle. That is a famous idea of Foucault. Sex was perceived as an obstacle in the pursuit of truth. And it was not conceived, but Foucault appreciates it that in the Christian era, sex became itself an object of truth. I think it must be C. And also, if you look at it, they won't make up such a big sentence also, we can say, right? So I think C is the answer, because that is an idea of Foucault. Then Tolstoy's criticism of Shakespeare is on two grounds. I think it is lack of art and morality, because Shakespeare's poetry is not real poetry. Conservatism and anti-people. No, Tolstoy wouldn't say that. It is nonsense. Wrong political and social ideology. Tolstoy wouldn't say that. Vulgarity and profanity. I think lack of art and morality, because Tolstoy famously attacked Shakespeare for not writing great poetry all the time. His poetry is not great poetry, you know. So I think A is the answer. I think it is a hunch from knowing about Tolstoy. I feel like BCD is not Tolstoy's, priority. Which of the following is not a critical work on romantic literature? Very famous and easy, Verbal Icon. Verbal Icon by William K. Wimsatt is not about romantic literature. This is famously new critical essay, and it is about neoclassicism, everything. Romanticism also, but it is not a work on romantic literature. Easy. Sidney defends poets. How does Sidney defend poets? He famously says, poetry never affirmeth because it never lieth. Poetry does not lie because poetry does not affirm. I think C is the answer. Poetry never affirmeth because it never poetry never lieth because it never affirmeth. Sorry. Poetry never lieth because it never affirmeth. That is a famous statement that I have taught in criticism and theory class. Stand. Don't let them tell you what to do. From Birthday Party. Stand to Stanley. Stand. Don't let them tell you what to do. What does it mean? Is it the pressure to conform? You should be like everybody else. Yes. Stanley is Goldberg and McCann are trying to make him be like everybody else. True. Laws of liberty. True. Inequality and hierarchy have nothing to do with birthday party. Inequality and hierarchy, I think, are wrong. Pressure to conform and laws of liberty are correct. 1 and 2, I think, is the answer. Inequality and hierarchy are not themes of birthday party. Nothing is funnier than unhappiness is a famous excerpt from Endgame. Even if you don't know anything about Harold Bloom, I have told you guys, when you study classics, very major classics, especially Samuel Beckett, excerpts, famous quotations from Endgame, famous quotations from Waiting for Godot, like that you should study. Harold Bloom will never say greatest prose drama about Krapp's last tape. It is a very small play. He won't say that about Luther. It is either Endgame or birthday party. It is Endgame. It is famous quotation. In Rushdie's Haroun and the Sea of Stories, the forgotten name of the city is Gup. Gup, it is very famous. Haroun and the Sea of Stories is the city of Gup. I think I have given summary to my students. The English version of Waiting for Godot, subtitled A Tragicomedy in 2 Acts. That is very easy. A Tragicomedy in 2 Acts. W.B. Yeats refers to a play which led to rioting in Dublin. Famous, easy. It is there in Encyclopedia in Detail. Playboy of the Western World. Playboy of the Western World, very easy. Spring and Fall is a poem by Hopkins addressed to Margaret. You have to read some of these poems, only then you will understand, because some textual questions are there. Margaret is crying because leaves are falling from the trees. Margaret is crying because leaves are falling, and the speaker is saying, Margaret, don't cry, and this symbolizes innocence. And she's a sentimental, childish girl. I think 3 and 4 are the answers. Human soul and all are not there. She loses her sensitivity is wrong. I think 3 and 4 are the answers. Then, I must lie down where all ladders stand. It is there in Encyclopedia. It is famously Circus Animals Desertion. Foul rag and bone sharp of the heart. Famous quotation from Circus Animals Desertion. I have given this to my students. It is there in Encyclopedia also. Sir, No Man's Enemy by W.H. Auden. People may have missed it. I myself did not know. It is Love God. If you read the poem, it is easy. It is given there. In an essay on dramatic poesy, Dryden defends English drama against which of the following charges? Of course, Dryden supports English drama for its violation of unities and mixing up of tragedy and comedy. Violation of unities and tragicomedy are the options. I have taught this in all my classes, criticism and theory. Then Coleridge considers primary imagination. This is also very easy. Faculty of artistic creativity, wrong. That is secondary imagination. Creativity is secondary. A mental faculty that makes perception possible. Wait. An exceptional gift of the artist, wrong. That is secondary. A finer aspect of fancy. No. It is B. A mental faculty that makes perception possible, I think. Mental faculty that makes perception possible. Now, Dr. Johnson defends Shakespeare against charges. Again, 3 unities and tragicomedy only. Johnson also defends Shakespeare for using tragicomedy and also for violating unities. In which essay does T.S. Eliot introduce the term objective correlative? Famously, Hamlet and his problems. I have taught this always. Hamlet and his problems. Expressive type of criticism. I taught this in criticism and theory class. Different types of criticism they will always ask. Expressive type is expression of the author. Form and structure is wrong. Personal emotions and ideas correct. Impersonal nature of literary expression wrong. It is expressive means personal. It is romantic. What is Arnold's description of touchstone method? How does Arnold describe touchstone method? That is also easy. Actually, even though it looks like, so many questions from criticism and theory, many questions are easy. Close analysis of poetic language, assessing the ethical value of the literary work, using short passages from the masters for comparison. Correct. Homer, Dante, Milton and Shakespeare. From these masters, excerpts or short passages are taken and compared. I'm so glad I conducted criticism and theory course just before KEA exam. Many people from KEA attended it. I'm sure they must have really benefited. The attributes of a good critic, definitely disinterestedness is there and objectivity is there. 3 and 4 are utter nonsense. Only 1 and 2, definitely disinterested and objectivity. 3 and 4 are nonsense, it is not right. Which of the following is not a Foucauldian method of inquiry? Very easy. Contrapuntal reading, as I always taught you, is Edward Said. Contrapuntal reading is Edward Said. I have taught you this before KEA exam. Those who attended classes only need to say, okay, we learned. Otherwise, many people did not attend. They were doing other things. I don't know what. Discourse analysis, genealogy and archaeology, famous methods of Foucault. This is very easy. Edward II, Christopher Marlowe. Spanish tragedy, Thomas Kidd. Richard II, William Shakespeare. Shoemaker's Holiday, Thomas Dekker. Who protects mankind from attack by evil forces? Even if you don't know anything about every man, this is about every man. By common sense, you can answer. Every man is a morality play. Is it 5 wits? No. Knowledge? No. Good deeds or 7 moral values? Definitely good deeds it must be. Common sense, every man. What is it that mankind needs to protect themselves from evil forces? It must be definitely good deeds according to morality plays. Simple. Morality plays are very simple and straightforward. How does Wordsworth defend the use of meter? Next question. It is famously, it adds pleasure to poetry. I have taught this in Wordsworth. In my criticism and theory class, it was there exactly like this. It adds pleasure to poetry. He sacrifices virtue to convenience. Famous. This is also there in my notes. Shakespeare. Dr. Johnson on Shakespeare. Very easy. In words as fashions, the same rule will hold. Alike fantastic if too new or old. Be not the first by whom the new are tried, nor yet the last to lay the old aside. 2 things. It is very metrical, perfect heroic couplet. And also he is advising writers. It must be Alexander Pope in Essay on Criticism, because Dryden, Sidney and Johnson did not write in poetry. They did not write criticism in poetry. This is Alexander Pope in Essay on Criticism. If anybody has read Alexander Pope, by reading this only you will know this is Alexander Pope. This is the style in which he writes. And these people did not write any criticism in poetry. What is the meaning of this? How you should try new and old. What the relationship between old and new in writing. That is the meaning. The Man He Killed by Thomas Hardy. I think I have given this material to KEA people. Look at this. This is easy. The Man He Killed. Why easy? Patriotism, self-sacrifice, glory of war. These are all positive. Absurdity of war is only negative option. The Man He Killed may not be about wonderful ideas of war. It must be about absurdity of war. These 3 are very... it cannot be the meaning of man he killed. It must be absurdity of war, and that is the answer. Name the work in which Browning narrates the murder from several perspectives. It is The Ring and the Book. The Ring and the Book. They have given King, but it is Ring and the Book. Very famous. It is an easy question. Tennyson portrays Ulysses in his poems of the same title as famous and easy, restless adventurer. Tennyson portrays Ulysses as a restless adventurer. All the others are utter nonsense. If you read the poem, you'll understand. The emptied town etched on the urn. He says that in the poem, the town shall always be empty and desolate. The town shall always be empty and desolate. People will not go back to the town again. So I think that is the answer. If you read the poem, it is easy. Shelley portrays West Wind as destructive creative force. Easy. Destroyer and preserver means what? Destructive and creative. Then, in Coleridge, the Ancient Mariner, the symbolic rebirth. Remember, he is in the boat. with the hermit and the other man, and he is looking at sea snakes. Very famous scene. It is blessing God's creation. He doesn't turn to religion. He is unable to pray. Remember, what is renunciation of pleasure? Nothing like that is there. Through happy memory of the human world, utter nonsense. It is by blessing God's creation. Sea snakes, God's creation. We see into the life of things. If you read Tintin, I have read it and posted. If you have paid attention, you will know. Transcending our bodily state. He says, our body is laid asleep or something, he says. Our soul escapes from the body. We become like a soul. Transcending our bodily state. What does the poet find in the Garden of Love in Blake's poem? Please read all these poems. Others, for other exams. It is a chapel. Garden of Love in Blake's poem, Garden of Love, it is a chapel. I did not know that. I checked it out. Hear thou, great Anna. This is famous line from Rape of the Lock. Hear thou, great Anna, whom three realms obey. Dost sometimes counsel take and sometimes tay. Obey, tay. You know, that is a joke. He is rhyming obey with tay. For us, it is a joke. And I have made a detailed video on Rape of the Lock in Udemy. I suppose many of you might have watched it. It is there in Udemy course. Our life is short and our days run as fast away as does the sun. It is in Robert Herrick's Corinna Goes A-Maying. I have given it in encyclopedia because these are prescribed poems in universities. Corinna Goes A-Maying. If you read, tomorrow to fresh woods and pastures new, very famously, Lycidas, ending of Lycidas. Ending of Lycidas. In the seduction scene of Eve, Satan uses logic, correct, that is how he is, making her fall. Definitely logic is there. Then appeal to pride is there, yes. Threat is not there, falsehood is there. 1, 2 and 4. This also must be easy because Paradise Lost book 9, I had given videos to KEA people. I suppose they watched it. I have detailed it very, very, very well in that video. In Udemy also it is there. Logic, appeal to pride and falsehood, very famous and easy. In John Donne's Good Friday, wow! Just before KEA when I did model test, I did model test. That day I told you this. In Good Friday, human soul is compared to sphere. And I said, read it. I remember very well. In YouTube, I said it. I feel so proud. I'm sure many of you might have got it. John Donne's Good Friday, I said, human soul is compared to sphere. So it must be cosmographers, I think. Because in that poem, adventure, priestly figure, nothing is there. Only sphere, that is there. So it must be cosmographers, I think. In his study of language, Ferdinand de Saussure focused on what? Focused on logical positivism. Kya hai wo? I don't know. No. Asserted romantic assumptions, utter nonsense. No, wrong. Subordinated parole to language. He subordinated parole to langue. Is correct. Wrote a social theory of language. Actually, if you interpret it, Ferdinand de Saussure's theory is social in a way, but I think C is the answer. Subordinated parole to langue, it must be, not language though. I think they mean C answer. Derridean grammatology aims at replacing so simple metaphysical logocentrism. All these are not difficult questions. These are all basic questions. Basic. Grammatology wants to replace metaphysical. It's against metaphysical logocentrism. Who among the following was the editor of New Left Review? It is New Left Review. Stuart Hall. Semanalysis. That one I did not know actually. Semanalysis. I never heard of that before. It is semiology and psychoanalysis. But it is a common sense question. Sim and analysis. One thing we should know. Julia Kristeva talked about Saussure and Freud. It must be Saussure's semiology and psychoanalysis. Even though I did not know this, I marked correctly. Obviously, from the title, It is clear. The study of the Society of Poetic Language. What is that? Opoyas. Opoyas is in St. Petersburg. Moscow Linguistic Circle was in Moscow. Moscow Linguistic Circle is in Moscow. Opoyas is in St. Petersburg. According to Bakhtinians, language is autonomous. Absolutely wrong. Bakhtinians believe that language is dependent on society, on class, on various other things. Literature is autonomous is absolutely wrong. Literature is synchronic. No, that is secure. Autonomy of literature is limited. Correct. Autonomy of literature is limited is correct. Bakhtinians. You don't have to know anything much about Bakhtin. It is easy. If you have a general impression of Bakhtin, you will be able to get it. If Freud reads Hamlet to support Oedipus complex, Ernest Jones wrote Hamlet and Oedipus. What is he reading into it? I think a clinical analysis of deep ambivalence toward the mother, because Ernest Jones also talked about Oedipus complex. Ernest Jones also talked about Oedipus complex. It must be B. Who said unconscious is structured like a language? Everybody knows. I also taught Jacques Lacan. Match the following. Array, easy. T.S. Eliot was against romantic poetry. Karl Marx was against political economy. Jacques Derrida was against structuralism. Edward Said was against colonial discourse. Did you get it? It is just logical. Karl Marx is political economy. I told you, na? Das Capital question. Edward Said is against colonial discourse. Easy. Which of the following best describes Marxian relationship between base and superstructure? Base is economics and superstructure is literature. Looks correct, but it is wrong. Superstructure is not only literature. Superstructure is many things. It is culture. It is ideology. It is religion. So this is not correct. Consciousness of men determines their being. Absolutely wrong. Utter nonsense. The mode of production of material life. Mode of production means economics. Mode of production. Conditions. Social, political, intellectual life. Absolutely right. That is correct. Superstructure is completely autonomous is wrong. Superstructure is not autonomous. It is dependent on base. Now, the message given in every man is that when you look at this exam, with a clear mind, it looks stupid. Why are they asking silly questions? You will think like that it is. Only you need presence of mind. You need a general. I taught a lot of things in KEA course. Because when you learn that much knowledge, you get a common sense. You get a perspective. They are checking your perspective, not knowledge. Only if you have knowledge, you will have perspective. Did you understand? This is actually a good exam. It is not a difficult exam. They are checking your perspective. After learning all the knowledge, if you did not get perspective, then you should not pass. That is what they are thinking. The message given in every man. One should trust good priests. Absolutely wrong. One should trust the church but not the priests. Absolutely wrong. One should trust all priests. Absolutely wrong. One should trust only God. Obviously correct. One should trust only God is correct. Who among the following was deposed before Hunter Commission regarding Hunter Commission is 1882. Actually, this is easy because Ambedkar, Lokmanya Tilak, Madan Mohan Malaviya, all are 20th century. They were adults in the 20th century. Jyotiba Phule is only the adult during Hunter Commission. It cannot be BCD. They are checking your general knowledge, guys, not deep knowledge. If anybody says this is a question paper which has deep questions, it means they are stupid. This is not a deep question paper. This is general knowledge. Jyotiba Phule was the only man who was an adult during Hunter Commission, obviously. What, according to Althusser, is the key distinction Marx makes in Das Kapital? It could be confusing if you don't know about Althusser. You have to know one thing. Althusser was a very complicated critic. He was a philosopher. He wrote in a very complicated manner and he talked about Marx in a very like this manner. Answer is the object of knowledge and the real object. These are two famous distinctions that Althusser made. Althusser made distinction between object of knowledge and real knowledge. So no guys, understand, every single question in the exam is not for you to answer. Some questions should be there that you don't answer. If you did not answer this, it's okay. Social relations and economic conditions. He did not talk about social relations and economic. No, it is A. A is the answer. Now 80. Sorry guys. 1 minute guys. In the essay, writer as producer, Walter Benjamin says, now this is only an English language question. Don't worry about Walter Benjamin. Read carefully. Walter Benjamin says, a writer who doesn't teach other writers teaches nobody. Walter Benjamin is a Frankfurt School critic. You already know what kind of critic he is. Walter Benjamin talked about aura. He believed that culture industry is wrong. Even though culture industry is Adorno and Horkheimer, Walter Benjamin is related to them. And he believed in Marxism, but not orthodox Marxism. Okay? A writer who does not teach other writers teaches nobody. Now look at the options. A writer should moralize. His content is wrong. Marxism is not about moralizing. Okay, Marxism is not about moralizing. So no, if you get worked up in the exam, if you can't think in the exam, if you get nervous, that shows you should not be teachers. You should be clear-headed in the exam. And if you think clearly, you will be able to answer. That is how it is. Please relax. Please study. Please get a perspective and go with confidence. Read and clearly think. People, for everything, if you get frustrated, you can't think, you are getting hysteria, you are going to faint, then please don't be teachers. Okay? First, take care of your personality. That is what they are thinking, I think. Listen now. Walter Benjamin. You should be confident. We are warriors. This is nothing I will be able to answer. Let me think clearly. Like that you should think. For God's sake, don't go to the exam hall and mess things up because of your stress and nervousness. We don't want that here. Studying so much and then messing things up. No. Be confident. Be clear-headed. Be ready to go and get it because you know many things. Okay? Right. Now, Walter Benjamin, come back here. The writer should moralize. No Marxist will say it. No, wrong. A writer's production. Writer is a producer. Yes. He's producing culture. Yes. It must have a character of a model. A writer should be like a model. And it must place an improved apparatus at their disposal. That means a writer should be a model for others. And the apparatus that he creates, the mechanism that he creates for writing should be helping other people. The improved apparatus. I think that is the answer. Look at the third one. A writer should teach writing skills. Wrong. A writer should develop a progressive model in his consciousness. That would automatically, wrong. Only B is the answer. Only B is possible. A, C, D are utter nonsense. Now, which of the following statements is not true of Elaine Showalter's gynocriticism? Those who have read Towards a Feminist Poetics will easily answer. Because the options are directly from Towards a Feminist Poetics. For the analysis, I have taught this also. For the analysis of women's literature, to develop new models based on study of female experience, it was there. It is there directly. To free women from absolute of male literary history, that is also there. She did not talk about novelists, poets, dramatists. No. She did not talk about all these things. She did not talk about novelists, poets and dramatists. She talked only about women writers, women writing. It is ABC. So answer is D. Not true is D. How does Michel Foucault explain author's name as a proper name? Those who did not read, what is an author or study it may not be able to answer. But one thing you should know, an author he describes as a function. Author is a function. Proper name is a description. That is very famous. Author is a function and proper name is a description. Okay? That is the answer. Which of the following is not one of the three kinds? I taught this. It is there in all our material. In criticism and theory. It is iconic, indexical, symbolic. Ideological is wrong. Oh my God, so many questions are there that I taught. In criticism and theory course, that came just before KEA exam. I'm so proud. Ayyo, this is a stupid question, which is very easy because absurd options are there. In her Masks of Conquest, Gauri Vishwanathan demonstrates how the natives conquered the British by wearing masks. KA, hello, are you making fun of us? How the British made the natives to wear masks. Ha! Nonsense. C is the answer, of course. How the British rulers used English literary study to perpetuate their rule and imposed cultural hegemony upon the natives. That is the answer, of course. Now, the Chomsky-Foucault debate, I did not know that myself, but I knew it is not power and knowledge because Chomsky is not about power and knowledge. Linguistic imperialism, human nature, language power, it is human nature. Human nature. Now, agency as a theoretical concept, very easy. It is a very easy question. Agency means the capacity to do things. The capacity for subordinated people for self-transformation. That is the answer. Do the subordinated people have agency? Can they speak? Can they do something to transform themselves? The power of ruling elites. No, that is not agency. The role of this is a basic question in literary theory. You should know what is agency. The process in which an intellectual calmly accepts all are utter nonsense. Most of the theory questions for people who know basics, only one option is there. Okay? Which of the following works may be considered sequel to Orientalism? Famously, Culture and Imperialism. That is easy. Culture and Imperialism. What is the subtitle of Ashish Nandi's The Intimate Enemy? Loss and recovery of self under colonialism. I think somewhere in our objective questions it is there. See this. Loss and recovery of self, loss of self under colonialism. Two options they have given. Out of C and D, obviously, when they give C and D, you should know it is C, isn't it? C. Sir Philip Sidney refutes the charge that poetry is the mother of lies. Philip Sidney says poetry is the mother of lies, mother of vices. He is refuting that charge, Philip Sidney is against that charge that poetry is the mother of vices. Poetry improves upon human nature. It is not giving us more vices. It is not teaching us to be vicious or evil. It is improving. Correct. Correct. The poet has greater influence being creative. He didn't say that. Poetry does not disown that it is fiction. Actually, he said that. All poetry is didactic is wrong. But 1 and 3 is not there. So 1 only is the answer. Because 2 is wrong. I think. 1 only is the answer, I think. But Sidney said that. Maybe in some other context. Either it is 1 only or 1, 2 and 3. My feeling is it is 1 only. But it may be 1, 2 and 3 also. I might be wrong. Now, Aristotle is a formalist critic. So silly this question. He focused on the form of tragedy. Correct. He analyzes catharsis. So what? Why would that make him a formalist? He analyzes the character of tragic hero. So what? Why would that make him a formalist? He argues that literature is more philosophical. Stupid options. B, C, D are wrong. Obviously, A is the answer. Matthew Arnold describes the function of criticism as creating an intellectual climate of objectivity, interrogating socially determined prejudice, that he said. Fallacies are wrong, prejudice is wrong. We should, critics should be against prejudice, that he said. Focusing on the formal elements of literary texts. Formal elements. Did he talk about formal elements? I don't think so. No, that is formalist. Evaluating literary works through analysis and comparison, that he said. Analysis and comparison. So definitely 2 and 4 are correct. But 2 and 4, one option is not there. 1, 2 and 4 is there. So I take that option. Definitely 2 is there, 4 is there, I know. So I take the option 1, 2 and 4. Behavioristic model of language teaching, that is easy. Anybody with basic knowledge will know. Behaviorism means imitation, repetition, habit formation. Your behavior based on your behavior. So behavioristic model means imitation of other people, repetition, habit formation. Name the 18th century novel which obtained an European reputation and was praised by Diderot and Rousseau. Now, I did not know this, but I have a rationale. Tristram Shandy was not respected in the 18th century or in the 19th century. Only in the 20th century, Russian formalists respected Tristram Shandy. So that is not the answer. Pamela was attacked as immoral by everyone. Why would Diderot and Rousseau praise Pamela? Doesn't sound right. Moll Flanders is out and out immoral. It must be Clarissa, I thought. And it is Clarissa. It is Clarissa. The medieval society portrayed by Chaucer is a stagnant society. Wrong. It is not. People are moving, things are happening, everything is changing. Absolutely wrong. Society of fixed status. Wrong. If it is fixed status, why would prioress act like upper class? No, there is class movement. It's a well-settled society. All are rich people. There is nobody who is very poor in Canterbury Tales. A well-settled society, but with contradictions, problems. A rigid society with no autonomy is wrong. Wife of Bath is in many ways autonomous. So, a well-settled society with contradictions is the answer. In Canterbury Tales, Chaucer's attitude towards the clergy. What is Chaucer's attitude towards the clergy in Canterbury Tales? Is Chaucer totally rejecting the clergy? No, he is actually appreciating the clergy also. It is a class neglecting its social function. The clergy is a social class and they neglect their social function. Sounds right. That of a believer who wants it improved. Correct. He is reformational. He wants to improve the clergy. 2 and 3 are correct anyway. 2 and 3 are correct. And 2 and 3, that clergy is insignificant to society. Absolutely wrong. 2 and 3 are true. It is, I think, straightforward. Which of the following statements is true of the play Death of a Salesman? It provides a critique of the myth of success. There is nothing called a success. You have to critique it. Correct. It is about an atypical. Atypical is wrong. Willy Loman is a typical individual. That too is wrong. Willy is the protagonist and the product of his society. Correct. 1 and 3 are correct. Its characters are one-dimensional. No. 1 and 3 is there? Yes, 1 and 3 are true is there. 1 and 3 are correct. It is a critique of success and Willy is not independent. He is a product of the society. Now, restoration comedies are a word. This is an interesting question because you can easily answer it. Restoration comedies are a world of themselves, almost as much as fairyland. You see, John Dryden, Johnson and Pope are too close to restoration comedies. Dr. Johnson attacked restoration comedies. Dryden will not talk about restoration comedies because he was in that period. It must be Charles Lamb. It can't be anybody else but Charles Lamb. Dr. Johnson attacked it. He won't say this. Intrigue was plot, obscenity was wit. It has to be Charles Lamb. Restoration comedies are a world of themselves, almost as much as fairyland. Like that, only Charles Lamb will say. Now this is easy. Match the following. Wycherley. Of course, it is Wycherley is plain dealer. Etheridge is love in a tub. Van Brugh is provoked wife. Farquhar is Beau's stratagem. This is easy because you have to know only Wycherley. Wycherley is plain dealer. It is very easy. A is 3. Oh, but then 3 options are there with A is 3. Okay. So that, but that is easy because I have taught you all this. I mean, it is there in encyclopedia. If you study, it is easy. The epilogue in every man. The epilogue in every man, you have to, I'm so sorry, I don't know it. Do you know it? Epilogue in every man, I forgot to look it up. I don't remember. It must be there directly in Google now. I don't know about it. Just let me take a look. because it is prescribed, I suppose people must have looked it up, but I forgot to look it up. I didn't know it. Every man, I don't know anything. Knowledge is speaking the epilogue. Sorry, director, doctor. Sorry, knowledge is elsewhere. Now, epilogue is spoken by doctor. A doctor appears addressing the audience directly with an epilogue. Okay. Every man is there in lit charts. Doctor it is. Okay, I didn't know that. Now, T.S. Eliot's poem Marina is based on Pericles. Mariana by Tennyson, measure for measure. Marina, I have always taught people this. I suppose you got it right. Pericles. And I will go to bed at noon. Polonius, these are parting words. Listen, Polonius as parting words, it cannot be, because Polonius in Hamlet is fully engrossed in Hamlet's madness and finding out the truth. He will not talk about going to bed or anything. Ariel also will not talk about, it is not Ariel's. Andrew Aguecheek also, no, it must be Fool in King Lear. This is definitely Fool in King Lear. Actually, I didn't know, but I got the hunch. I guessed like this. Polonius was engrossed with other things. He will not talk about going to bed at noon. Ariel and Andrew Aguecheek wrong. Fool it must be. And it is right. T.S. Eliot argued that Hamlet is a weak play. Why? Because it does not use objective correlative. Objective correlative is like a metaphor. Hamlet, I always say, Hamlet runs to pillar to post, trying to explain everything through words. You should not explain through words. You should put a metaphor or an objective correlative. I think answer is, it's wordiness. That means too many words. Too many words are unnecessary. You should put an objective correlative. It's a direct question actually. If you know what is objective correlative, easy. What are the political concerns in Julius Caesar? Definitely populist politics is there. Definitely. Problem of leadership is also there. Definitely. 1 and 2 are there. Roman economy is not there. Imperialism, no. 1 and 2 is true. 102 is 1 and 2 only. Populist politics, problem of leadership. Actually, they have asked questions from lots of areas. I'm glad. But many areas are left out. This is very easy. Match the following, very easy. Caliban is colonial subject. Island is colonized territory. You don't even have to read the question. Obviously, if you know these two, you can answer. Caliban is colonial subject. A3, D2. A3, D2 is option A. A3, D2 only you need to know. Island is of course colonized territory. Any child will say this. Caliban is colonial subject. The play has been described as the great property room of Elizabethan tragic devices. It is not Friar Bacon, Friar Bongay. It is not a great tragedy. Dr. Faustus doesn't have much property. It's all in the mind. It is more psychological. It has to be Spanish tragedy or Tamburlaine. Which is the greater tragedy with lots of property? Property means things happening. It is Spanish tragedy. Of course, Tamburlaine is not that famous. It must be Spanish tragedy. Then, who are the daughter of God in Castle of Perseverance? It is mercy, truth, justice and peace. Mercy, truth, justice and peace. Then, I hope you have got these right. Here lay my hope. This is very easy. If you know anything about these plays, this is easy. Here lay my hope. Here my hope halls end. Here lay my heart. Here my heart was slain. This well-known lamentation must be Spanish tragedy. Geronimo lamenting for Horatio. Geronimo lamenting for Horatio is very famous lament. There is no lamentation in Jew of Malta or Richard III. In Romeo and Juliet also no. It is Spanish tragedy. Geronimo lamenting for Horatio. Which of the following was not a playhouse? Definitely Swan was there. Globe was there. Hope was there. Rose was there. But Fortune Rose was not there. Fortune Rose is not there. Tale Danda. All of you Karnataka people will know this more than me. Tale Danda. Basava does not wholeheartedly support intercaste marriage because Basava is a leader. He believes time is not yet ripe for such a revolutionary act. Then, match the following. Easy. Opium trade, river of smoke. Nationalism, shadow lines. Environmentalism, hungry tide, because it is set in Sundarbans. Science and rationality, Calcutta chromosome. Match the following are all very easy. Opium trade, shadow lines. Nationalism, river of smoke. Opium trade, river of smoke. Nationalism, shadow lines. Environmentalism, hungry tide. Science and rationality, Calcutta chromosome. In Arundhati Roy's Ministry of Utmost Happiness, Anjum is a transgender woman, of course. Transgender woman. Which novel of Jane Austen published posthumously? Persuasion. Persuasion. This is also not so difficult because Sushila is definitely English teacher. Rosie is definitely guide. So, A4, B3. A4, B3 is only one option. Savitri is dark room. Rangamma is man-eater of Malgudi. Really, I have taught this it is there in our English, in our material. Really, what keeps us apart after all these years is unshared childhood. It is love poem for a wife, 1. Love poem for a wife. Then which of the following is not true in the context of Raja Ram Mohan Roy's advocacy of instruction in English? He considered Sanskrit inferior to English is definitely wrong. Even though he supported English, he will not say Sanskrit is inferior to English. He considered English as the vehicle of modernity, correct? He believed English alone could be the medium of science teaching, correct? He thought knowledge of English would be beneficial to Indians, correct? Correct. A must be wrong. Why does Derrida consider literature as a strange institution? Now, there is an interview where Derrida is talking about literature as a strange institution. Even if you don't know anything about the interview, look at this. Because it is imaginative writing. Was Derrida against imagination? No. Derrida was not against imagination. Imagination is almost like a, I don't think that is wrong. Because it's a verbal act. Because it's a speech act. Because it can say something and cannot be held responsible. I think D is the answer. D is the answer. In communicative language teaching, which all are used? Communicative language teaching uses giving meaning focused on communicative tasks. Correct. Communicative tasks give meaning. Correct. Exposure to second language in real life situations of communication. Correct. Role play. Correct. Structural drills. Structural drills is wrong. 1, 2 and 3 are the answer. 1, 2 and 3 are right. Structural drills are not there. Then, the structural situational method in ELT used the PPP model. It is presentation, practice and production. Of course, precision will not be there. Projection will not be there. This is easy. Presentation, practice and production. Then, the audio-lingual method was characterized by, what is the method of audio-lingual method? Attempts to form right habits of language use. Audio-lingual. Right habits we should form, yes. Use of drills. Placing language in real life context. Attempt to banish mistakes in usage through practice. Real life context is not audio-lingual, it is communicative practice, communicational method. So 1, 2 and 4 it must be. Real life context is not there in audio-lingual method. Others are there. When the direct method was introduced in ELT, it developed certain features. Direct method. Direct method, insistence on use of only first language. The sentence was the focus of the activity. It was based on the cognitive theory of language, wrong. Accuracy was insisted upon. I think A is the answer. Grammar translation method. Grammar and translation is focused on what? Grammar translation is not about phonology. That will be speech. Communication is not there. Written forms of language there. You write language and you translate it. I think B is the answer. Name the well-known intellectual who commented that D.H. Lawrence's philosophy of blood knowledge could turn to be fascist. It is famously Bertrand Russell. I have taught this somewhere in contemporary criticism or something. Bertrand Russell critiqued D.H. Lawrence as fascist. Which section of Sons and Lovers is seen as an example to prove Lawrence's advice? Trust the tale, not the author. That means what is important is the story. The author's life may not be directly there in the story. It may not be directly autobiographical. That is the meaning. So, Paul's failed relationship with Miriam is autobiographical. Failed marriage of Paul's parents is autobiographical. I think ending of the novel is what he means, what is meant here. Ending of the novel must be the answer. What is important is not the author and his life. What is important is the story. Ending of the novel is not autobiographical. All the other three are autobiographical. Which novel by George Eliot is structured as a fable about greed and redemption? Which novel by George Eliot is about greed? Of course, Silas Marner. Dunsey is stealing gold. Silas Marner, Dunsey is stealing gold. A bishop attempted to burn a copy of this novel because of its open discussion of sexual morality. Must be Jude the Obscure. There is open sexual immorality in Jude the Obscure. They are living together and having children. You know, they are suffering because of that immorality. Jude and Sue Bridehead. It must be Jude the Obscure. Oh my God, 125 questions. It is so much. Some of the answers that I said could be wrong because it is my reasoning. I am not claiming that I am a know-all and I know everything. But this was not a difficult paper actually. It is easy to get pass marks with common sense and knowledge of English language. If anybody did not get it right, please don't worry about it now. What is the use of it? At least from now on, understand that how you should study is by developing a perspective. I'm trying my level best to make you understand it. Perspective comes from your thinking and wisdom, which comes from your reading. So please do research. Do reading on your own. Whatever exam you're preparing for, study like this. I hope my analysis has helped you to think in right ways. My aim in doing this session is not to tell you the right answers, but to teach you how to think. Okay? So, with general knowledge and common sense, I wanted to show you that you can actually answer such questions. Okay, guys, thank you very much. I am going to do 10 p.m. live also. Okay, 10 p.m. live also because I have to teach you about travel narratives.